It is Tuesday, February 7th, and this is a Fox News alert. A legal showdown looming over President Trump's immigration order. The Department of Justice fighting to have a travel ban restored as the president takes aim at what he calls the dishonest media.
We're up against an enemy that celebrates death and totally worships destruction. It's not even being reported. The very, very dishonest press doesn't want to report it.
We are live in Washington with a high-stakes hearing set for today.
And alarm at the nation's airports. The scathing security flaws putting Americans at risk right now for lone wolf attacks.
And a hero's welcome home for the Super Bowl champions, the Patriots, back in Boston for their victory parade, minus Tom Brady's jersey that went missing. A search right now to find it. Fox and Friends First starts right now.
The Patriots coming home to a hero's welcome. Somebody return his jersey. Come on.
What are you going to do with that jersey? Are you sell it? Everyone's going to know you're the guy that stole it.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Good morning to you. You're watching Fox and Friends First on this Tuesday morning. I'm Heather Childers.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Clayton Morris. Thanks for starting your day with us. We're going to get right to that Fox News alert. Just hours from now, the White House will face off in a high-stakes hearing on the immigration order.
President Trump demanding that it be restored immediately to keep America safe. Griff Jenkins is live for us in D.C. with how the administration is gearing up for the showdown. Good morning, Griff.
Good morning, guys. The stage is set for a showdown in San Francisco this afternoon as the federal government defends their travel ban executive order before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The Department of Justice argued in a filing yesterday, quote, relying on his express statutory authority to suspend entry of any class of aliens to protect the national interest, the president has directed a temporary suspension of entries through the refugee program and from countries that have a previously identified link to an increased risk of terrorist activity. And at Central Command yesterday, the president was met with cheers.
We need strong programs so that people that love us and want to love our country and will end up loving our country are allowed in, not people that want to destroy us and destroy our country.
And as you mentioned, he also took a shot at one of his favorite targets, the dishonest media.
You've seen what happened in Paris and Nice. All over Europe, it's happening. It's gotten to a point where it's not even being reported. And in many cases, the very, very dishonest press doesn't want to report it.
Aboard Air Force One on the way home, his spokesman, Sean Spicer, was forced to defend those comments.
He felt as though members of the media don't always cover some of those events to the extent that other events might get covered. That a protest will get blown out of the water, and yet an attack or a foiled attack doesn't necessarily get the same coverage. He's doing what he can to protect this nation, to protect our people.
So all eyes will be on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals today, guys, as the federal government and the states fight it out. This court has a liberal reputation, and many expect that they may reject the government's arguments, which would put us on a fast track to the Supreme Court.
Either way. Thank you, Griff.
All right, thanks, Griff. And the president has the authority under a 1952 law to suspend any type of immigration for public health, safety, or national security reasons. And Fox News senior legal contributor, Judge Andrew Napolitano, criticizing Judge James Robart's ruling, saying the states don't stand a chance if this heads to the high court.
My view is the president is so much in the right, the states are so much in the wrong, they don't even have the standing to sue, meaning they can only sue if they've been harmed, and they haven't. They are claiming that people that live in those states are harmed, and it's the obligation of those alleging harm to sue. But if the Justice Department wins and the states of Washington and Minnesota appeal to the Supreme Court, I don't think the Supreme Court will hear it. But if the states win and the Justice Department appeals to the Supreme Court, I think the Supreme Court will hear it, because the Supreme Court is interested in the orderly administration of governmental function. And this is profoundly disorderly for a single federal judge to stop the president from examining people with more care as they enter the country.
So let's keep talking about this. Who do you think has a stronger case here, the president or the states that are fighting his immigration order? You can log on to Fox and Friends First Facebook page right after the show for a live debate. Use the hashtag #KeepTalking.
Holding the floor, desperate Democrats staging an all-night Senate session to derail today's confirmation of education pick, Betsy DeVos. Kelly Wright here now with the latest developments that have been breaking overnight. Good morning, Kelly.
Heather, good morning to you as well. It's been a marathon session on the Senate floor as Democrats try to stop President Trump's choice to lead the Department of Education. Betsy DeVos has been facing a gauntlet of opposition. Democrats are fiercely opposing her. They've been holding the Senate floor captive with non-stop speeches. For 24 hours they intend to do it to voice their opposition to President Trump's choice.
Ms. DeVos's answers at the hearings were embarrassing. In my mind, she is the least qualified nominee in a historically unqualified cabinet. We need just one more vote, and we can get a lot better Secretary of Education than the one who was nominated.
Two Republicans are already standing with Democrats to vote against DeVos. Democrats hoping to sway one more to join them to derail DeVos's nomination. In the event of a tie, Vice President Mike Pence will cast the deciding vote. Republican Senator Tim Scott spoke on the Senate floor, passionately explaining why he supports DeVos.
This is not an issue of Republicans versus Democrats. It's not necessarily about Betsy DeVos. Not even Betsy DeVos. For me, the issue is simply an issue of quality education. She has a set of fresh eyes.
The White House defends DeVos, calling her an, quote, unbelievable champion of education. But critics say her views are just too extreme. The vote on DeVos is expected to take place at noon today. The Democrats' tactics on stalling the vote on President Trump's cabinet choices has become the slowest confirmation of cabinet members since George Washington. Back to you, Clayton and Heather.
Things move slower back then. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
Well, a manhunt intensifying right now for an armed and dangerous pair accused in a string of murders down south. Billy Boyette Jr. and Mary Rice suspected of killing 3 women, 2 of them in the Florida Panhandle and 1 in Alabama. They're also wanted for breaking into a Florida home and shooting a mom with her toddler just steps away. That woman now in critical condition. Police say Boyette has told people that he won't be taken alive. A convicted drug dealer given a second chance by President Obama is back behind bars this morning. Robert Martinez Gill arrested just 1 year after his life sentence was commuted. Cops nailing him with 2 pounds of cocaine after a high-speed chase in Texas. He now faces up to 40 years in prison. While in office, Obama commuted 1,715 sentences, more than any other president.
Another Democratic mayor defying orders from the White House. Prospect Park, New Jersey, is now a sanctuary for illegal immigrants. And the mayor, a Syrian-born Muslim, says that he's following the national trend because he, too, is an immigrant. And he says that there's nothing to lose because Prospect Park doesn't rely on federal funding. Now, they join the estimated 300 other sanctuary communities nationwide. Virginia lawmakers want to hold those communities responsible if illegal immigrants commit crimes. A state senator is passing a new bill to hold communities responsible for not cooperating with federal immigration authorities. A similar bill also introduced in Colorado today. It is intended to help families like that of Kate Steinle, who was murdered by an illegal in San Francisco. Her parents tried to sue the city but were unsuccessful. Her alleged killer had been deported 5 times.
Well, the New England Patriots ready for the celebration of a lifetime after their epic Super Bowl win.
Crowds of fans cheering as the team led by Tom Brady arrives home in Boston. Up to 1 million people expected at today's victory parade, a well-deserved celebration after their incredible comeback from a 25-point deficit to beat the Falcons in the first ever Super Bowl overtime.
Brady declared today a citywide holiday, despite the fact that his Super Bowl jersey went missing from the locker room after the game. The Texas Rangers now stepping in to help police find it.
I put it in my bag, and then I came out, and it wasn't there anymore. So it's unfortunate because that's a nice piece of memorabilia. So if it shows up on eBay somewhere, someone let me know. I'll try to track that down.
Well, one auction site actually says it could be worth $1 million. But like you said, they'll know who took it.
Right. Or if you have it and you have people over your house for a dinner party.
You can't show it to them.
Right. Hey, guess where I got that?
Not
I
too
stole
smart.
out of Tom Brady's locker.
Well, will it be a washout for fans celebrating in Boston?
Fox News senior meteorologist Janice Dean is here tracking down the forecast and that jersey. Hey, Janice.
Oh, man, I mean, who would do that?
Ridiculous.
Clayton, I'm watching you. Let's take a look at the maps. Yes, they are going to get a mixture of rain, sleet, freezing rain on the parade today, 11 a.m. But the worst of it is really going to come tomorrow night and into Thursday. However, it's not going to be a great day for a parade, unfortunately. I think they're going to still celebrate. Look at the future radar. So this is on Wednesday. Tomorrow, we're going to watch this system exit the northeast and then watch what happens here. Okay, here's our next storm system bringing the threat for snow across the big cities. D.C., Philadelphia, New York, Boston. This is going to start Wednesday night into Thursday. Now, the exact timing and track and how much snow still yet to be determined, but it does have the potential to bring several inches of snow on the morning commute on Thursday. So keep that in mind. There's one of our forecast models. And again, we could get several inches of snow. New Jersey, 3 to 6 perhaps for you. Long Island, upwards of perhaps a couple of inches. So this is something we're going to have to monitor. But one thing is for sure, Wednesday into Thursday, if you live across the Northeast, the I-95 corridor, you need to be keeping track of this storm system, and we'll keep you up to date. The other big story is going to be the West. Heavy rain, mountain snow once again for this region. So that's going to be a problem, especially for commuters as we head through the work week. And I've got some really crazy video from a police dash cam, guys. Look at this. This is a meteor. This is a meteor from the dash cam in Illinois here, Hanover Township. This is really incredible. We're starting to see, better video of these things entering the atmosphere, and they saw it in 4 different states. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, there were like 3 asteroids that passed by Earth last night that were pretty close.
Yep.
And not only did they see
Bruce
them, they
Willis?
could feel them, Bruce Willis.
Yes, there was apparently a loud boom. So if it does make landfall, that would be a meteorite. As it enters the atmosphere, it's a meteor, but if it makes landfall and impact on the Earth, we call it a meteorite.
There you go.
There you go.
Learned something this morning.
Space science.
And if an asteroid hits, that's what kills the dinosaurs. So thanks, Janice.
Thank you. Well, the time now is 11 minutes after the top of the hour, and the Seattle judge who halted President Trump's immigration order under fire for his alternative facts.
How many arrests have there been of foreign nationals for those 7 countries since 9/11? The answer to that is none.
Wrong. The truth just revealed in a fact check.
A Casey Anthony spotting. The infamous Florida mother emerging from seclusion to protest President Trump.
I'm only counting on your cancellation when I should be counting on you at my door. Did you forget about?
Welcome back to Fox and Friends. First, we are back with a Fox News alert for you, sounding the alarm at our nation's airports. Scathing security flaws now putting Americans at risk for lone wolf attacks. Cheryl Casoni from our sister network, Fox Business, here with what you need to know. Good morning, Cheryl.
Yeah, good morning, Heather. Well, a new government report raising concern that airports throughout the United States are vulnerable to insider threats that could be carried out by lone wolf attackers. The House Homeland Security Committee found that airports and aircraft are vulnerable to attack by, quote, nefarious individuals, and that current security standards would likely fail to prevent an adversary with insider access from causing harm. Well, a report from 2015 done by the Inspector General found that 73 aviation workers had possible ties to terrorism that was not found in their background checks. In fact, history shows it's happened before. Back in 2014 at the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport, 3 male workers who had access to planes were recruited to fight for ISIS. Also that year, a Delta employee smuggled 153 firearms onto 17 different flights, and in the next year, an inspector was carrying a firearm. in their carry-on baggage. About 900,000 people, we should say here, work at airports across the country and can bypass normal security screening. Only Miami, Orlando, and Atlanta screen all their employees and their bags. In response to the report, guys, the TSA said it appreciates the committee's efforts. They're reviewing the report. Back to you.
Longer lines.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Cheryl. Well, this morning we're fact-checking a statement made by the federal judge who halted the president's travel freeze.
How many arrests have there been of foreign nationals for those 7 countries since 9/11?
Your Honor, I don't have that information.
Let me tell you, the answer to that is none, as best I can tell.
Judge James Robart arguing that the White House has no merit to suspend travel from these 7 countries. However, a recent review of cases now proving the judge wrong. An Iraqi refugee was arrested on ISIS-related charges last January, admitting to plotting bomb attacks at 2 Texas malls. And last fall, 2 radicalized Somali refugees carried out chillingly similar attacks, one inside of a crowded Minnesota mall, the other at Ohio State University. With attacks like these in mind, the Trump administration is refusing to back down.
It's such an important thing for everybody to note because the judge from the bench had asked the attorney how many people have actually been arrested under this type of order, and she said, I don't know, and he said, I'll tell you 0, and that's just not true.
President Trump himself slamming Judge Robart, saying his decision is putting the country in danger.
And the judge also helped resettle refugees pro bono before overturning the president's immigration order.
Fox News radio host Todd Starnes here with his 1-minute commentary and a message for Judge Robart. Good morning, Todd.
That's right. Good morning, Heather and Clayton. U.S. District Judge James Robart is the poster child for everything that's wrong with America's legal system. He's the guy who blocked President Trump's temporary immigration ban. Now, understand this. We do not have a moral or constitutional obligation to let people into the country who want to blow us up. But Judge Roberts' restraining order puts Americans in harm's way, and as the Associated Press reports, contained erroneous information. President Trump was right to call him out. Our federal courthouses are infested with judicial activism, and the only way to root out the infestation is for President Trump to name conservatives to the appellate courts. But Republican presidents have a bad habit of putting closet liberals on the bench. Democrats nominate liberals who stay liberal, but not Republicans. Once their nominees get confirmed, their gavels go wobbly. And I'm talking about you, Judge Robart, Bush appointee. Come to think of it, not only do we need extreme vetting at the border, we also need extreme vetting in the courthouse. One final note, folks. The new book, my new book, The Deplorables Guide to Making America Great Again, comes out today, and I hope you get a copy. Back to you.
Deplorables Guide. Thanks, Todd. And don't forget, it's in stores right now. It hits store shelves today.
And breaking overnight, country legend Willie Nelson canceling a string of shows after getting sick.
On the road again. Going places that I've never been. Seeing things that I may never see again.
Well, Nelson will not be on the road again after postponing 3 concerts in California to recover from an unknown illness. The 83-year-old also canceled shows last month for a cold. He's expected back on the road next week.
Well, Russian President Vladimir Putin could be facing off with the U.S. on the ice. Putin reportedly wants to play an exhibition hockey game against a Philadelphia Flyers alumni team next week, and not clear if his schedule will allow it, though. Defenseman Joe Watson, who organized the team's trip to Russia, says if Putin plays, he'll have to earn the win. Watson also joked that he may end up in Siberia if they beat him. Be ready to be knocked into the boards outside.
Well, the time now is about 20 minutes after the top of the hour. And a dangerous new e-cigarette hack, the new trend among teenagers, and the urgent warning every parent needs to hear.
And liberal college crybabies taking it another step further. The campus now banning conservatives altogether. And welcome back. A university sparking outrage, banning a conservative group because it allegedly makes liberal students feel unsafe. The Student Senate at Santa Clara University in California rejecting the petition to form the campus chapter called Turning Points USA.
This is about free speech. This book does not promote any hatred.
I'm Muslim as well, so they are a direct threat to me.
The school says the club should try applying again next semester.
Well, San Francisco will be first in the nation to make City College free. And guess who's footing the $5.4 million a year bill? Taxpayers. Starting in the fall, students can go to City College at San Francisco without paying a dime. Textbooks also free for some students. Anyone who has lived in the city for at least a year can take advantage of the perk. We're splurging on some brand name products when using food stamps. A new study finds that families using taxpayer benefits are less likely to buy generic brands. Instead, they opt for more expensive products, spending more for the same amount of groceries. Researchers say that in months leading up to getting those benefits, families are likely to buy generic products to stretch their dollar.
Well, you remember when Starbucks pledged to hire 10,000 refugees to fight against the president's immigration order? Well, now an Army Special Forces veteran with his own coffee company has an amazing response. Evan Hafer, the Black Rifle Coffee Company CEO, vowing to hire 10,000 veterans over the next 6 years. The Utah-based coffee brewers currently employ about 50 people, most of them veterans. We're going to hear more from Hafer and his plan when he joins us live in the 7 o'clock hour of Fox and Friends.
And everything is more expensive in New York City. That, of course, includes the coffee. A Brooklyn shop called Extraction Lab is now selling an $18 a cup of Joe. $18. That's the highest price in the country.
Now, it's made with rare beans, though, Heather, so you got to know this. It's grown in Panama, and the shop uses a high-tech machine which combines 3 different brewing methods to make their coffee. The previous record high was $16 in San Francisco.
Magic beans, like Jack of the Beanstalk.
I had one of those in Seattle one time where they make it in like a decanter with like a Bunsen burner, and it took like 20 minutes. It was delicious, and it was expensive.
How much was it?
I don't even know. It was like $8 or something.
Was it $18 though? Because that's
once in a lifetime. It's not something you do every day on your commute.
Yeah, no. Well, the time now is 26 minutes after the top of the hour. And under pressure, first Nordstrom's and now another major retailer apparently wants to drop the First Daughter's clothing line. The new proof that it could all be about politics.
Take a look at this. Stunning at age 63, Christy Brinkley is finally back in her bikini. I know, Matt, you were waiting for this. We're all, the brand new Sports Illustrated issue, you have to see.
Look at one of her daughters looks just like her. Look at that.
Which one's Christy Brinkley? I can't even tell. Wow.
We take a walk.
And good morning, everyone. You're watching Fox and Friends First on this Tuesday morning. I'm Clayton Morris.
Yeah, always nice to start with the little Beatles. I'm Heather Childers. It is half past the top of the hour, and we do begin with the Fox News alert for you. The battle over President Trump's immigration order coming to a head in a high-stakes hearing today.
The administration hoping to overhaul a judge who halted extreme vetting of refugees from 7 countries, but this may be teeing up a standoff in the Supreme Court.
Griff Jenkins is live for us in D.C. with the breaking developments. Good morning.
Good morning, Heather and Clayton. Get ready for a showdown in San Francisco this afternoon before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals as the federal government defends their travel ban executive order. The Department of Justice arguing in a filing yesterday, quote, relying on his express statutory authority to suspend entry of any class of aliens to protect the national interest, the president has directed a temporary suspension of entries through the refugee program and from countries that have a previously identified link to an increased risk of terrorist activity. And at Central Command in Tampa yesterday, the president rallied the troops.
We deliver a message in one very unified voice to these forces of death and destruction. America and its allies will defeat you. We will defeat them. We will defeat radical Islamic terrorism, and we will not allow it to take root in our country.
But he also took a shot at one of his favorite targets, the dishonest media.
You've seen what happened in Paris and Nice. All over Europe, it's happening. It's gotten to a point where it's not even being reported. And in many cases, the very, very dishonest press doesn't want to report it.
And his spokesman, Sean Spicer, was forced to defend it.
He felt as though members of the media don't always cover some of those events to the extent that other events might get covered. That a protest will get blown out of the water, and yet an attack or a foiled attack doesn't necessarily get the same coverage. He's doing what he can to protect this nation and protect our people.
So all eyes are on that Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals oral arguments beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern. And regardless of the outcome, guys, most expect this will ultimately end up before the Supreme Court.
Timeline, many, many months. All right, thanks, Griff. We appreciate it.
Well, desperate Democrats, meantime, working overtime at this hour. You're looking live at the Senate floor, where an all-night session is still underway. The goal, to derail today's confirmation of education nominee Betsy DeVos.
In my mind, she is the least qualified nominee in a historically unqualified cabinet.
They're calling it a talkathon. Two Republican senators, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, are planning to vote against DeVos, setting up a potential 50-50 split. Vice President Mike Pence would then hold the tie-breaking vote.
President Trump has only been in office a few weeks, but a California congresswoman is already implying that he could lose his job. Maxine Waters defending recent remarks in which she said her greatest desire is to lead the president right into impeachment.
I have not called for the impeachment yet. He's doing it himself. I think that he is leading himself into that kind of position where folks will begin to ask, what are we going to do? And the answer is going to be, eventually, we've got to do something about him.
Waters cites the president's relationship with Vladimir Putin as something that could warrant impeachment. Well, Special Assistant to the President, Boris Epshteyn, is slamming the left for delaying cabinet picks, calling it a desperate stunt.
Obstructions from the left is not allowing for nominees of the president for cabinet seats to be confirmed, and any sort of discussion of not confirming Judge Gorsuch is just that, obstructions. He's a true judge's judge, a perfect pick to be the 9th justice in the Supreme Court. So just because the left tries to obstruct does not mean that this president and our administration are going to somehow stop. We will continue going full speed ahead for the American people, because that's why President Trump was elected on November 8th.
No, President Trump now has more unconfirmed cabinet nominees at this point in his term than all previous presidents combined.
Meantime, a rioter at the violent University of Berkeley protest was reportedly a staff member. Screen grabs on Twitter showing an alleged employee talking about getting into a fight with a fan of Milo Yiannopoulos, the speaker targeted in the protest. Well, the same Twitter user then bragging, writing, "Some good Samaritans come and pull me off of him. And as always happens in these cases, I take a couple of weak shots to the face." Well, the tweets have been deleted, and the university is looking into those accusations. Meantime, Casey Anthony emerging from seclusion to protest President Trump. Well, the infamous Florida mom was seen at an anti-Trump rally in West Palm Beach over the weekend. The 30-year-old showed up smiling with a backwards baseball hat and globe bracelets on. The once-accused killer saying that she does not support the president's immigration policies. Anthony has laid low since she was cleared in the murder of her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee, back in 2011. Well, the time now is about 20 minutes until the top of the hour, and a Fox Business alert that every pet owner needs to hear: the dog food that could kill your canine.
And a high-stakes hearing set for today as a fierce legal battle looms over the president's border order. Our legal expert on deck next with the biggest challenge that the Trump administration is facing.
Plus, how to get free donuts from Krispy Kreme.
Well, the legal battle over President Trump's immigration order is heating up with a high-stakes hearing set for today.
A federal appeals court will hear arguments to reinstate the executive order. So where will the case go from here? Attorney Ariat Feelig is joining us now. Thank you for joining us, first of all.
Pleasure. Good morning.
So what do you expect to happen today? Take us through the logistics of it. There are 3 judges.
Right. So let's stipulate at the outset that the president does not have home court advantage going into this one. Judges at the outset tend to be deferential to lower court rulings. So that's the first challenge he faces. The second issue is it's the Ninth Circuit tends to be perceived as the most left-leaning of the various circuit courts. But they're going to have at 6 o'clock Eastern Time 1 hour of oral argument. It'll be done over the telephone. It'll be live streamed from the court, and we'll get a decision possibly as early as tonight.
Well, on Sunday we saw some movement over the weekend. Normally you don't think anything happens over the weekend in the world of the legal world, but Sunday we had the appeals court denying the Justice Department's request for a reinstatement of the executive order. Will that carry weight this week?
It will. I mean, the 2 judges who denied lifting the TRO are going to be hearing the case this afternoon. So to the extent that they've tipped their hand, that means the president and his lawyers from the Department of Justice are going to have an uphill battle today.
And what we're talking about today, you just mentioned the TRO, that's the very narrow thing that they're addressing now.
Correct. But in order to get to the question of the temporary restraining order, they do look at the constitutional implications and the statutory implications, all the substantive issues that will be explored more definitively or more thoroughly later will be touched upon, certainly in the oral argument today.
One of the things you're hearing from the Trump administration across all of their talking points, Kellyanne Conway, Vice President Mike Pence, and the president himself, is that this is national security, and tying this to this 1952 immigration law. Tell us about that. What does that mean for this case?
Sure. So that 1952 statute is incredibly broad. It says that the president can suspend the entry of any class of aliens when the president deems such entry as detrimental to the United States. That's tempered somewhat by a 1965 amendment which bars discrimination based on national origin in the issuance of certain types of immigration visas, but the president's executive order actually touches not only immigration visas but also student visas, work visas, etc. So these are the sort of tensions, whether it's statutes that are seemingly in conflict with each other or constitutional principles which are in conflict with each other, that create controversies.
Yeah. And FDR, Truman, Obama all had similar orders, and they were upheld. What about the impact to President Trump's pick for the Supreme Court, Judge Gorsuch?
So that's a great question. The timetable is not clear. Even if the Supreme Court does decide to address it, it's not certain that even if confirmed, Judge Gorsuch would be on the court in time to participate in the argument.
Is that something he'd have to recuse himself from?
No. Even though he's a Trump nominee, unless he's had some personal involvement with the litigation or if he has a personal stake in the litigation, he can still sit and determine it.
Mm-hmm. So tell us, what do you think will happen? Give us your prediction.
If we learned one thing, Heather, in the 2016 election, it's that making predictions on TV kind of a risky proposition, and I'm a risk-averse kind of guy.
Smart.
I'm not going there.
He'll go to Vegas, but he won't do it here on TV. Thanks, Elliot. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, imagine evicting someone, then having to foot the bill for your renters to move. That's the reality for landlords in Portland, Oregon, not exactly a landlord-friendly state. And now some property owners are suing. The new law requires landlords to cover moving costs under no-cause evictions. And if the renter wants to move before the rent increases by 10% or more, that's another reason why. And then, or the property owners claim that it violates state law and imposes an unfair financial burden on those tenants.
Here's a question for you. Would you stay in a hotel room with a stranger?
Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between 2 pillows. Those aren't pillows.
Marriott's chain of Element hotels, they will soon introduce communal rooms. This is a thing. It's a block of several bedrooms that share a common living room and kitchen. It's aimed at extended families or co-workers who travel together and that may want separate bedrooms and bathrooms, but a shared living space.
I like that.
So not shared beds.
All right, we will be right back.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Doocy. Coming up 12 minutes from right now on Fox & Friends, continuing coverage on immigration and terror, reporting with Deputy Assistant to President Trump, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. That's right. He now works at the White House. Judge Napolitano still works here. We're going to talk to him about that. Plus, Miss Universe 2016, Laura Ingraham. We got all sorts of things to talk about politically. Senator Tom Cotton and the Fonz, Henry Winkler. What's he doing these days? He's writing kids' books, and he's on our show today, which starts 12 minutes from right now. All right, back to y'all.
Love it. He gets a thumbs up, right? Well, women are now being told to march off the job by this group. This is the same group that cheered for disgusting statements like this.
Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Yes, a tweet from organizers of the anti-Trump Women's March calling for a day without women. That's a nationwide strike for female workers on a date to be named later. It has been retweeted nearly 19,000 times. They're trying to capitalize on the march, which drew protesters to the streets the day after the inauguration.
Well, first it was Nordstrom and then Neiman Marcus, but now anti-Trump protesters pressuring Macy's to drop Ivanka Trump's brand. And this morning there's new controversy surrounding Nordstrom's decision, thanks to an email sent 2 days before yanking her merchandise. They say it wasn't political, but an elite email to employees of Nordstrom Brothers bashed the president's immigration order, writing, quote, an executive order was signed by the president of the United States related to immigration. The diverse employees and customers we serve are top of mind.
And now to Fox Business Alert, an urgent pet food recall that every dog owner needs to hear.
Yeah, Cheryl Cassoni from our sister network, Fox Business, is here with a recall that could kill your dog. Good morning, Cheryl.
Oh, yeah, guys, good morning. And this is somewhat troubling, but it's on a very small scale. I do want to put that out there. So Avengers, it's called hunk of beef, and it's a very specific type of beef that they use. Well, the supplier for the company, turns out there's some kind of bacteria that has made one dog sick enough to pass away. 5 dogs in total were sick. Now, they believe that all of the pet food that was manufactured back in 2016 has already been sold and ingested. So this may be behind them, but they're trying to just be extra cautious for dog owners. They say that they, of course, they love their dogs. So there's 5 lots sold between June 6th to June 13th of 2016. It was sold online and at retail sites. Again, 1 dog death, but we believe that the food is, unless it's in your cabinet, it's expired, you should be okay. Here's a map of all the states for this recall, whether it's Washington, California, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New York. Go to the website. There's a lot of states involved in this recall.
Good thing to be safe.
All right, let's talk about Amazon. First it was drones, and now they have an idea for grocery stores.
Well, yeah, it's funny because we had talked about this before, Clayton. They want to do this. It's basically like an automated grocery store. Think of it this way. You walk in, pick what you need, you walk out, the app is open on your phone, and so just like this guy that you see in the video, there's no checkout line, but that means that Amazon is going to open up grocery stores, we think, according to reports, with as little as 3 employees. So, if you need help, sorry, there's been no lines, no checkout employees, so fewer jobs, but a lot of automation coming if you like Amazon.
Apple kind of does this already. At the Apple Store, you can walk in and literally just walk out with an item, and because your app, it'll just charge you that way. You don't have to talk to anybody.
And you're right, the technology is there. It's just, and so the New York Post is reporting that they're actually looking at opening an actual retail space that could be as big as 10,000 square feet to put this out there. So with Amazon, anything's possible.
Yeah. All right, so speaking of being possible, free donuts. And this isn't just for today, it's all month long.
I mean, right, we're all trying to, get ready for, swimsuit season, and they throw this at us. Yes, they've got 2 new coffees at Krispy Kreme, and they say if you come in, there's specific dates though, between February 6th and February 28th in the U.S. and Canada. If you buy one of their new coffees, either smooth or rich coffee of the 2 brands, you get a free donut, a free glazed donut. But they had me at that, unfortunately.
And Krispy Kreme's coffee is not $18.
No,
like we discussed
like this,
earlier.
The other one.
No, smart business, you bet, guys.
No donuts for me. I'm getting ready for bikini weather.
Exactly.
I'll have 1 or 2. Maybe.
Well, Patriots fans ready to celebrate this morning. The team's Super Bowl victory parade set to kick off in just a few hours.
And Jessica Reyes from our Fox Boston affiliate WFXT is live along the parade route in Copley Square. Good morning, Jessica.
It's sort of the calm before the storm here in Boston right now. Right now we're here in Copley Square, and the barricades are up, and in just a few hours this place is going to be filled with people watching the Patriots roll down Boylston Street in the duck boats. But last night we were there as the Patriots got back to their home in Foxborough at Gillette Stadium, and it may be the 5th time that these guys are coming home as Super Bowl champs, but it never does seem to get old for them, does it? They were greeted by fans of all ages last night, and we are expecting much of the same out here today. The mayor says They are expecting about 1 million people to be out here for the parade this morning, and the police commissioner does say that they will have several police officers, dozens of them along the route in both uniforms and plainclothes, keeping everyone safe. Now, one big question this morning, though, is what happened to Tom Brady's jersey after the game? That is still a mystery that they are still trying to figure out here in Boston. We're live here in Boston. I'm Jessica Reyes. Back to you.
Well, Jessica, we want to ask you, though, are there any ideas? I thought I heard earlier yesterday morning that possibly someone who was cleaning up may have taken it, but I guess that's now not true because they still haven't found it.
Right, yeah, there was a post on Instagram, I believe it was. Someone had put a post on Instagram saying they had Brady's jersey, but there is still a question as to whether or not that was the real jersey. So they are still trying to figure out, it does seem right now, where it could be.
All right, Jessica Reyes there in Copley Square in Boston for the big parade. Thanks so much, Jessica. And we're here, it could go between, $500,000 to $1 million. But again, who's going to sell it? Everyone will know you stole it, or you got your hands on it.
It could also send you straight to jail.
Right.
That's what could happen.
That'd be a nice piece of memorabilia, though. Well, the time is now 53 minutes after the hour. A dangerous new e-cigarette hack, the new trend among teens, and the urgent warning every parent needs to hear.
And stunning at the age of 63, Christy Brinkley back in her bikini. The brand new Sports Illustrated issue that you have to see.
Feeling hot, hot, hot. Feeling hot, hot, hot. Feeling hot, hot, hot.
The White House. Trump clinging on to Tom Brady like a Bachelor contestant on a group date. And Brady just trying to take one step out of frame so he can keep those endorsement deals from Uggs going.
It is 58 minutes now after the hour. Before you leave the house this morning, here's what's happening today. The White House will face off in a high-stakes hearing on the immigration order. 3 federal judges will listen to arguments over a conference call to determine whether it should be restored or not. If rejected, the Supreme Court could be next. And desperate Democrats have been staging an all-night Senate session to derail today's confirmation hearing of education nominee Betsy DeVos. The vote likely to happen at noon today. Looks like it's headed for a 50-50 split. VP Mike Pence says he's honored to be the tie-breaking vote if need be. And Facebook heading to court to wage a legal battle against search warrants issued in a fraud case. The social media site says it has the right to challenge requests for a user's personal information. Lower courts say that challenge needs to come from the users themselves.
Time now for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Up first, the good. At 63 years old, Christy Brinkley is proving she's still got it. The legendary supermodel back in a bikini in this year's Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, this time making it a family affair. Her 2 daughters joining her in the picture, which was shot along the shoreline at Turks and Caicos. Beautiful. And the bad, young e-cigarette smokers using a dangerous new hack. It's called dripping. It's where kids take the vaporizer pin apart. They drip the e-liquid directly onto the heated coil, and then they inhale the vapor. It makes for a more powerful hit of nicotine, while unknown health consequences occur. And finally, the ugly. The Patriots won the Super Bowl, but some Boston Globe readers may have thought otherwise. Early editions of the paper suggested the Atlanta Falcons won the big game. Oh, no.
And all the people who went to sleep
no good.
and regretted it, like this one.
Yes.
Fox and Friends starts right now. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.